LeBron James made his debut as a commentator. Woohoo! That's right. The NBA player who's on pace to set the scoring record was moonlighting as a football insider, football savant with his buddies Maverick Carter and someone named Paul Rivera. I have no idea who that is. Apparently, he's the guy that created the shop, so I guess he's good enough to be on there. But during the broadcast, we did have a viral moment. Now, chances are you were not watching this. I imagine very few people were watching this, so you might have missed it. But LeBron made a passionate statement during the conversation about Aaron Rodgers, which sounded a lot like a boom haymaker at the Lakers. Take a listen. All right, we don't have it apparently, but LeBron went on a rant. He was talking about Aaron Rodgers, and his commentary was about the Packers surrounding Aaron Rodgers with better players, and he was saying they should trade draft picks and all that. He said, I'll give you part of it. He said, I would feel like it's a discredit if you have a transcendent franchise player like Aaron Rodgers. Why won't you surround that when you have the picks to maximize what you do? It definitely translates. That's the gist of what he said. I wish we had it, but apparently we don't. So let us discuss the question, was LeBron James taking a shot at the Lakers? Yes, this was, as we pointed out, a haymaker right to the Lakers. Does manure stink? Now, I've got Morse code, fabric, and cheese rolling. And we will line all of these things up, and we will knock them down. Now, to lead off, LeBron James could not help himself, right? He couldn't help himself. He saw an avenue here, and he jumped at it. It's like he could send a secret coded message, and he's like, well, maybe nobody will pick up on it, or a few people will pick up on it. But he would have gotten away with it had it not been for those meddling bloggers who had to mess everything up, just goofing up the fun. So LeBron sending a not so cryptic message in a bottle, and that was a message to Skinny Jeans, Rob Pelinka, and Jeannie Boss, the incompetent owner of the once proud Laker franchise, using Morse code. A little SOS from LeBron, hoping the Lakers will answer his distress signal. Now, the way I read the room, this is LeBron saying, hey, if you don't trade those picks and get me some help, then you better trade my ass. Yeah, of course. Now, furthermore, what do LeBron and Aaron Rodgers have in common? They actually have a lot in common. And I want you to sit down. I'll explain this to you like you're 5 years old, okay? There was a lot of similarities. These guys are cut out of the same fabric. They're both falling stars. Don't let a falling star fall on you. They both lost a little bit on their fastball. Rodgers is 38 years old. LeBron's 37. He's about to turn 38 in December. Neither of these guys is performing up to the stats on the back of their baseball card, and that is a fact. Jack, right? That is a fact. Aaron Rodgers is a shell of what he had been in recent years when he was winning MVP awards. His quarterback rating, yards per attempt, completion percentage are all down. They're doing the limbo. Both Rodgers and LeBron James, because the numbers are down in certain areas and they're up in other areas. Like, for example, Aaron Rodgers' interceptions are up. The mental mistakes are up. LeBron has been bruised and battered already. He's no longer a top 10 or top 15 NBA player. Those days are done. And King James does look satisfied. He looks satisfied getting his stats, and his field goal percentage, three-point percentage, foul shooting percentage are all down dramatically from recent years. Now, in addition, both Rodgers and LeBron, they use the same handbook, the same playbook. It is the passive-aggressive playbook. They both feel resentful and frustrated. Most of the time, they hide it as part of the passive-aggressive playbook. They act neutral or pleasant and even cheerful, but if you listen closely and read between the words and listen between the words, they find indirect ways, LeBron and Rodgers, to show their true colors. For example, Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show and uses subtle insults. Sometimes they're as subtle as a 2x4 to your forehead. LeBron says things in code on The Shop, on HBO there, and you got to listen very closely, very, very closely, and you can figure it out. All right, parting shot. So how did LeBron James do on his version of the Manning cast? I'm glad you asked. Now, I would be lying to you if I said, hey, I watched that thing. We watched that from start to finish. We did not. I am an Al Michaels stan. I stand by Al, the curmudgeon of broadcasters, because he brings me back to my childhood. Every big game I recall, well, not every big game, because Brent Musburger did some, and Keith Jackson did some, and Vin Scully and other people. But in many big moments when I was a kid growing up, Al Michaels was calling the game. And so he's a legend, and I watch it, and I flash back to when I was 12 years old. But my friends in sports media were texting me about the job that LeBron James did. And so I was like, all right, I'll go check out some of the clips. And the great thing about these things is you don't have to actually watch the whole broadcast. They put a sizzle reel up, which they think is very entertaining. Oh, it's so entertaining. And you can watch that and get like the top 2 or 3 minutes and get kind of the gist of how it went. And so I will tell you, most of the comments from my people that work in sports media were not flattering. I had one respected broadcaster who's well known who said it was as bad as it gets. Feels like I missed the game because he watched LeBron. Having LeBron add commentary to an NFL game in general is like if you were to hire me to break down cheese rolling in England. Now, I've eaten cheese and I've rolled, but do I know anything about cheese rolling? No. If you send me to India or New Zealand or Australia and said, talk about cricket, you'd get crickets is what you would get. Uneducated, but I would pretend. And from the clips I saw when LeBron was talking football, trying to be a hardo football guy, I watched it, and it was a lot of grab ass. It sounded like LeBron was trying to fake it till you make it. Like he's a faux football fan. Kind of like those internet stories about how LeBron, we've all seen it on the internet. People say, well, he pretends to read books. I mean, he's actually been caught a few times where somebody will ask him, hey, what's your favorite part of that book? And he'll be mumbling and stumbling, and he doesn't know how to say because he's not actually read the book, and it's very embarrassing. It sounded kind of like that, right? It sounded kind of like that. And I get that these type of programs, the Manning cast, this LeBron version, they're for the hardcore fanboy. You need knee pads to enjoy them. You got to genuflect and bend the knee, put your athletes on a pedestal. We don't do that in this part of town. As the mayor of Realityville, we appreciate what these great athletes do. We talk about them all the time. It's how we make our living. But if we didn't talk about them, we talk about something else. And for those of you who say, oh, you wouldn't have a job without athletes, bull crap. We survived over 100 days with no sports during the pandemic, and we had the highest ratings we've ever had. So it's nice to talk about them. It's more fun to talk about them, but we don't necessarily need them to make the world go around. And they're human like you and I are. And last I checked, they're not able to put 2 shoes on at the same time. They put 1 shoe on at the same time, 1 sock on. They're mere mortals. And LeBron, he should keep his day job or his night job. And by the way, as far as the LeBron trade speculation and all that and the whispers, here's what I've heard. And even though I'm the number 1 or 2 Laker hater right there with Rob Parker in that same category here at Fox Sports Radio, what I have heard recently from people who would know is that the plan in Lakerland is no matter how bad it gets, they're not going to consider trading LeBron until he breaks the NBA scoring record held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They think of that as a consolation prize, that they're not really that good, and maybe they'll be better and they'll sneak in the playoffs. But what they want is that great moment. They want more nostalgia, and that years from now when they show the clip of LeBron, it's kind of like the highlight of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar we've seen actually it was at UNLV against the Utah Jazz when he made the basket that put him over the record for the most points. And so the Lakers want that as another Laker. And so they want that historical moment. And from what I've been told, as I understand it, they are not going to even consider trading him until he gets that record. And only after that will they consider sending LeBron somewhere else. So you better hope that he starts playing, and you better hope that he gets the record before the trade deadline, or that presents a whole can of worms there.
LeBron James.
For the purple and gold.